Best of couture in India. Designers backed for sustainability. Indian artisans get their due. The latest in Indian fashion. Fashion Files, our top focus on India today.
Hello and welcome to the India Today Lifestyle Special. You're watching Fashion Files. I'm Chaiti, Narula, and on this show we're going to be bringing you all the latest in the world of fashion, haute couture, what is in, what is out. You need to keep yourself up to speed with the trends, and we're here to do that, to help you do that for you. And the latest in the world of fashion has been the FDCI India Couture Week 2022 with headliner showcases that began with Rahul Mishra, Tarun Tahiliani and JJ Valaya. Here's a roundup of them.
The FDCI India Couture Week started in New Delhi with Tarun Tahiliani's showcase titled The Painterly Dream. The line that featured Tahiliani's signature beiges and muted pastels and defined the bridal look of the season. The ensembles clearly look like wearable bridal couture, with dramatic use of veils and fabric and intricate embroidery.
When my kids got married, they were beige and cream. They dress and live in the color palette that they do normally. It's also a fact that we wear a lot of Western clothes, and so we're kind of restricted. There's nothing wrong with color. Please wear it the way you want. But I think that I keep telling people when they say, oh, you know, one night we're going to do a black tie and I'll wear some gown, and the next night I'll do Jodha Akbar at the wedding. I'm like, wait, you're not a movie star.
Correct.
You're not playing 5 different roles. You are yourself. Can you please just stick to what works for you?
Next came the Couturier Rahul Mishra showcase, The Tree of Life, which is a physical artistic manifestation of Rahul Mishra's childhood memories. It was a showcase of design innovation overall. It had layers of fashion design, art, inspiration from Mother Nature, all intertwined into signature works with much grandeur at the French Embassy.
Almost 200 meters away from the house, there's a giant banyan tree. And I remember as a child walking with my mother also, where, you know, you put that that hand-spun cotton thread around the tree.
Yes.
So in that way, what happens, like, you are almost tying the tree, for me, like, you know, metaphorically, it looks like you're protecting the tree. And in turn, the tree protects your family, your husband, your life, your children, and it gives longevity to everybody.
This was followed by JJ Valaya's couture showcase that marked his 30 years in fashion. Valaya presented his collection titled Alma, that means soul in Spain. The collection saw luxurious fabrics, intricate detailing, all inspired from the Spanish culture and tradition.
You know, though we have an underlying inspiration which is Spanish in influence, the collection is called Alma, which means soul in Spanish. But today's show was unlike anything I've done before because each piece was a separate collection. So literally we had 42 collections in there, which is that I picked up nuances and motifs from my past collections, threw them in with this season's collection and concocted something all new. So it was truly, it was different for me, and I hope, it registered like that with the audience.
The FDCI India Couture Week saw the best of couture in India in the national capital, with wearable couture being the biggest trend witnessed.
This collection of mine, the road less traveled. And why so? Because I kind of thought, what have I done in these last 30 years of my career? I have traveled to so many 20, 30 villages all over the country. In fact, even outside the country, I had been to Scotland, Iceland, and Spain and so and so. So everywhere, globally, like you absorb the culture in each and every space. And that culture inspiration is my, inspiration for my collections.
A celebration of Indian talent and craftsmanship, the Couture Week had a lineup of designers like Falguni Shane Peacock, Anamika Khanna, Anju Modi, J.J. Valaya, Suneet Verma, Amit Agarwal, Kunal Rawal, Dolly J. and Siddharth Titler. In New Delhi, with inputs from Riya Modi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
One of the doyens of couture in India happens to be Tarun Tahiliani. And it's a very interesting story how he started his career. We take pride because it was the India Today 1987 magazine cover that he saw that inspired him to become a couturier and a fashion designer. Here's a look at what inspired him and our cover from 1987 of the India Today magazine.
Touted to be the doyen of couture in India, Tarun Tahiliani has garnered popularity for his couture ever since he entered the fashion world in the year 1987. He is best known for his ability to infuse Indian craftsmanship and textile heritage into well-tailored pieces. From Jones Coon to Wharton School of Business, he started his career in the oil field equipment industry but never found his groove there.
It was an India Today cover story, let me tell you, that inspired what today has become. I always say this. They did in 1987 a cover story with Feroz Gujral on the cover, styled by Rohit Khosla, and a hot pink dhoti and a turban, which was the signature. And it said the new fashion, burgeoning something. And they covered some boutiques and Ravi Saw and Beena Modi. And my wife looked at it, and she just moved here from the States. She said, I can't get anything that fits me. And the idea of ensemble was born.
And it was the India Today magazine cover that he saw in the year 1987 that featured Feroz Gujral and Rohit Khosla. That was the breakthrough moment for him to realize his true calling as a couturier. He always loved sketching, but the India Today magazine cover changed Tarun Tahiliani's life forever. He spoke fondly of the India Today magazine cover that featured a model wearing a hot pink dhoti and a red bandana, and designers like Beena Modi, Ritu Kumar, Vijay Mehta and Ravi Chawla. There are some who find their breakthrough moment from their mentors, some from nature, some from certain defining incidents in their lives. But for Tarun Tahiliani, it was the India Today magazine cover. Lifestyle Bureau, India Today.
So there's a concept of fast fashion and slow fashion. Fast fashion is always going to be not very sustainable to the environment. Our next report is going to be explaining to you how fast fashion is detrimental to the environment and to climate change crisis around the world. The top couturiers in India today are now batting for sustainability in fashion. To give you a better understanding, and probably this report that you watch will change your mind about your consumption patterns when it comes to fast fashion as well. Take a look.
A recent fashion report by Earth.org focused on climate change in fashion. According to the report, fashion and its supply chain were touted to be the third largest polluting industry after food and construction. The report shed some light on how fast fashion contributed to emissions that accounted to 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions, releasing 1.2 billion tons of carbon dioxide per year, more than the shipping and the aviation industry combined. The report predicted how the fashion industry's greenhouse gas emissions are predicted to increase by more than 50% by the year 2030. Big brands and top designers in India are now focused heavily on sustainability and are doing their bit to make the earth more sustainable.
This generation of Greta Thunberg is going to change the way we live and consume things on planet. I am very sure about it.
The generation of Greta Thunberg?
It's going to change. Like my daughter,
like that.
who's 6-year-old, she knows plastic is bad for the planet. We should buy less. She knows it, which is so amazing to see.
Which is amazing.
So this is the next generation, the biggest hope. The worst thing which can happen if you allow West to define sustainability for you.
Yeah.
Their sustainability through a keyhole. Very myopic view. Material sustainable. Even the best organic cotton, once you start making things in mechanized manner, you make 1 billion t-shirts, it's unsustainable.
Correct. 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 But that is
process has to be focused more on dialogue sustainability than anything. Wearing this shirt right now, it's a bottom bomb in 2012.
That's fabulous. We should all learn. We should all learn all of this.
The 10-year-old shirt this is. So actually, what happens? Like I need to also stay fit.
Correct.
First of all, couture, because it's luxury, is the finest example of sustainability. We make clothes which endure, which stand the test of time. I've had my brides from 27, 28 years back coming now with their clothes we made for them, with their daughters who want them altered to their sizes. So if that's not sustainability, I don't know what is. So we doing J.J. Valaya, the couture label, is 100% sustainable to the core. But we've also launched a new bridge to luxury line called JJV, where we are only using eco-friendly fabrics from Tencel Luxe, and we are making sure that sustainability is no longer an option. It's not a trend. It's a responsibility and a need. So it's something we're going to support all the way.
The need of the hour is less production in fast fashion. To many big couturiers today, going sustainable also means repurposing pieces. For instance, teaming your wedding trousseau choli with denims and a cape, or for that matter, using the lehenga you have just recently worn for a sangeet with a bomber jacket for a party. It's all possible.
We always, when the brides come in, it's one of the services we do. We say, okay, you wear this at your wedding. Then you take the choli and you wear it with a plain sari or a concept sari. You take the dupatta and you do beautiful kalidar kurta. Today young women will wear a lehenga with a satin shirt to another friend's engagement. So you make this into 4 things. Surely within this you can find ways to purpose and repurpose and wear things beautifully. And remember, you're always worth more than what you just wear.
For many couturiers, it is about using eco-friendly materials, natural fabrics, or more sustainable fibers like silk.
The sustainability means, in a real sense, where it sustains the back-end people, at the same time your planet and you yourself, and the future generations also. So the couture in itself is a very sustainable subject, according to me, because it is done by the manual handwork of 200 hours of a person working on a beautiful karigari piece of a Kashmir ektar embroidery or a bandhani or something. So it is sustaining that family, it is sustaining our craft also. At the same time, it is so precious that it can be handed over to the next generation.
Of late, consumers have the active choice to go ahead and reuse their clothing, shop less, repurpose those statement couture pieces. The option also exists to make an active choice to buy clothing made from fabrics like better cotton, linen, eco-friendly silks, hemp, and many options which are now available for the discerning consumer. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
In the post-pandemic era, weddings and festive occasions are getting far more special, far more intimate, far more cozy with lesser amount of people. And with that, there's a big trend that has come up. That is to go pastel, embrace the colors of ivory, and there is romanticism, and a certain level of romanticism it comes when you have pastels that are the flavor of the season. And the couturiers today in the country as well have realized that, and that was the trend that we witnessed at the India Couture Week as well. Take a look.
With weddings becoming more intimate, small and special these days, a new pastel sparkle is setting the trend this season. The latest defining moment of this trend came from Alia Bhatt and Ranbir Kapoor's recent minimalist ivory-hued wedding. Alia's hand-dyed ivory organza sari, embroidered with tila work with an embroidered hand-woven tissue veil by Sabyasachi, set the tone for ivory and pastel hues. Ranbir too matched the outfit with embroidered silk Sabyasachi sherwani featuring uncut diamond buttons, silk organza safa and a classy yet festive shawl decked in zari embroidery. Recently at the FDCI India Couture Week 2022, the Painterly Dream by Tarun Tahiliani saw pastel hues as the order of the day. Complex earthy tones and textures married with embroidery techniques of chinkari, pichwai, kashida brought out traditional Indian culture and couture with a contemporary sensibility. Pastel bridal couture also has a global appeal as more and more brides today are shedding off the weight of typical reds and maroons. Even for Rahul Mishra, the wearable couture was witnessed in soft pastel hues, three-dimensional floral embroidery for the men and the women both. Rahul Mishra's latest collection also showcased pastel-hued and floral-fueled lehengas. For the men, the delicate designing and colors were rather androgynous and in pastel hues. His showcase before this one in India of the Enchanted Garden was a breath of fresh air with the colors used by the couturier. Varun Bal's latest showcase too saw a splash of pastel hues, reinforcing the focus on ivory, blush pinks, sky blues and different colors from the pastel palette. The romanticism with pastels with delicate floral embroidery is in the air, not just for women but for men too, and seems like it is here to stay given the nature of festive gatherings in the post-pandemic era. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
Outside of the headline performances that we gave you a sneak peek into, there were a many designers that showcased in the national capital, and the couture was to die for. Here's a look at all that action too.
It's been a week of high fashion in India. The big trend as far as bridal couture is concerned was that of jackets over lehengas and saris. Tarun Tahiliani, Rahul Mishra and J.J. Valaya's wearable bridal couture featured these concepts. From jackets to concept drapes and practical wearable couture, we lifted this specific trend in bridal couture. The risk and sensual blouse with plunging necklines was witnessed in showcases of almost all the couturiers, including Varun Bal, and that was another highlight. Arguably, the reds seemed quite passé for bridal wear, but Sunit Verma featured them. His muses did wish, though, if the weight of the garments could be reduced. Making wearable couture does not come easy. Shilpa Shetty too had a little bit of trouble walking in a Dolly J outfit. The other trend witnessed was earthy crimson tones, rich with India's tradition, and Anju Modi and JJ Valaya had plenty of that going. Pastels and ivory are the defining highlight of the season, and right from Rahul Mishra to Tahilyani, Dolly J, they all went with the most defining trend of the post-pandemic era couture. Nude tools, organza, to opulent velvets. That was Rohit Gandhi and Rahul Khanna's edit. Interestingly, this couture reminded one of the global trend of pieces that can camouflage into a red carpet look overseas at the same time, look appropriate for a desi wedding. The waistband was sure trending in festive and bridal couture, and for those who enjoy their kamarbands, they are back. One of the biggest highlights in the trend was the wearability of couture defined by Tarun Tahilyani and Rahul Mishra. They make it look like a walk in the park creating these, but it requires highly advanced level of craftsmanship. As for men, Titler was the one who stood out with his cutting-edge pieces. He brought the global contemporary edge to Indian couture with this edit, quite dystopian in nature. This edit, with the stitching, quilting and heavy embellishments in the form of patchwork with Farhan Akhtar as a showstopper, was in line with the overall appeal of his couture collections. Jacket over dhoti pajamas stood out. In New Delhi, with inputs from Riya Modi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
So what you see of fashion weeks and couture weeks around the world is all glam, but there is a lot that goes behind the scenes as well, and not everyone has the access to it. So we decided to go behind the scenes and get you some behind the scenes action as well. And of course, socialites, celebrities, all of them are a part and parcel of every fashion week all over the world. Riya Modi really took the effort to go behind the scenes to bring you a sneak peek. Here's a look.
Loves couture and couture loves Bollywood, and one had ample of Bollywood beeps as showstoppers for some of the couturiers at the FDCI India Couture Week 2022. Farhan Akhtar carried Siddharth Titler couture edit Shan Shui with much swag.
I'm really happy and I feel great wearing it. I think that's what's important.
Brilliant.
No, that's true. I mean, that's what, like, I think he said it so correctly. You have to feel happy, you know, with what you wear, and that's mainly it. I'm really thankful that I got to be a part of this. I love his work.
Post-COVID, this has become my signature style, and I'm absolutely loving it. I actually made a collection right before lockdown called New World. It was about the earth coming to an end, and you know how people are going to just adapt to it and stuff. And we've picked up elements from this.
This is a different world, and whenever you're introduced to a new world, you just need to feel comfortable.
Aditi Rao Haidari looked regal, donning Anju Modi couture, rich of traditional Indian heritage.
There is a very fine weaving happening in the first collection, which is a pashmina, and very delicate things were done to that. So according to me, that's light, but very time-taking and luxurious. So couture means luxury, and luxury means that you have a style and you don't need to shout money from there.
But I always feel like luxury is not about what you show to people, but about how it makes you feel, and that is true luxury. And I feel with Anju Auntie's clothes, you know, they look very grand, but they're very comfortable to wear.
Shilpa Shetty may have had a bit of trouble walking in Dolly J couture, but carried it off with much grace eventually and had ample sex appeal to make up for all of that. Sara Ali Khan looked absolutely comfortable in a Falguni Shane work, wearing blue, and it did suit her.
I think that it's just been a spectacular show and I had a lot of fun, and it was a lovely collection, and I'm happy that I got to walk.
Apart from that, Malaika Arora walked the ramp in a risk plunging neckline and a sexy outfit by Rohit Gandhi and Rahul Khanna.
I think it's very wearable more than anything, and I think each one of their garments, I think, and whatever I saw tonight, I think it made them, every one of them look so fantastic and so strong. That's what I like. The girls look completely in charge.
In New Delhi, with Riya Modi, Lifestyle Bureau, India Today.
So as we wind up this show, what are the latest trends that you have picked up from this show? Number one, couture is becoming far more wearable than before. Number two, the bridal couture. The brides are shedding off their reds and maroons and ivories and pastels are in season, and that is what is in vogue these days. Number three, men's fashion is getting far more androgynous. And number four, and most importantly, before we let you go, you saw that report on climate change and sustainability in fashion. Perhaps that changes your mind about consumption patterns as well. Let's all think about the planet, because the top designers are batting for it as well. Thank you so much for watching Fashion Files. This is Chaiti Narula signing off.